afternoon and welcome to Westminster News. I'm Jacqueline and today's top stories are: Matt Hancock says the NHS is ready for a COVID vaccine. GCSE and A-level exams has been cancelled in Wales, and there has been a surge in UK unemployment. Health Secretary Matt Hancock says the NHS will be ready to roll out the new coronavirus vaccine from December if it gets approved. The first milestone vaccine developed by Pfizer and BioNTech at a hospital in Ankara offers 90% protection. Pfizer believes it will be able to supply 50 million doses by the end of this year and around 1.3 billion by the end of 2021. The UK should get 10 million doses by the end of 2020, with a further 30 million doses already ordered.
Pfizer is the first to share data from the final stages of testing known as a Phase 3 trial. About 43,000 people have been given the vaccine and no safety concerns have been raised.
However, we do not know. There are certain things which we don't know, like, for example, what is the period of immunity that it offers, how long, how many vaccines you need to take, and certain things, details are still to come.
Mr. Speaker, if this or any other vaccine is approved, we will be ready to begin a large-scale vaccination program.
Two of the big China-made vaccines use the original virus but in a disabled form. The Oxford and Russian vaccines take a harmless virus that infects chimpanzees and genetically modify it to resemble coronavirus. So far, around 30 million people in South Korea have received a flu jab. At least 32 people have died after getting the vaccine, while health officials say there is no link.
We do not have a vaccine yet, but we are one step closer.
So what do the British think about the COVID vaccines? Are they going to get an injection?
Probably not. I guess I'm low risk in terms of getting any complications from COVID.
I don't know too much about it. I don't really know how many people they've tested it on. But if it was like safely promoted in the UK, then probably yeah. But I'd like more information, research about it, if that makes sense.
AS level and A level exams in Wales are cancelled for 2021 due to the coronavirus pandemic and disruptions to learning. Minister for Education Kirsty Williams has confirmed.
The well-being of learners and fairness across the system has remained central in our decision-making process in designing Wales's approach for qualifications in 2021. And I am pleased to be able to confirm that approach today. In line with the recommendations of both Qualifications Wales and the independent review, there will be no exams for GCSE or AS level learners next year. We have also decided that there will be no exams for A-level students. The primary reason for my decision is down to fairness. The time learners will spend in schools and colleges will vary hugely, and in this situation it is impossible to guarantee a level playing field for exams to take place. We will instead work with schools to take forward teacher-managed assessments. These will include assessments that will be externally set and marked, but delivered within a classroom environment under teacher supervision.
Ms. Williams has said her decision came after considering detailed advice from Qualifications Wales on alternative options as well as interim findings from a review of the 2020 exam process. She also took views from head teachers, college leaders, the Children's Commissioner and universities across the UK. People seem to support the cancellation, believing it to be the right decision, great choice and fantastic news. Director Ethan Hughes from the Association of School and College Leaders, CRIMRU, says they're confident about the plan and consider this approach will not disadvantage students in Wales in comparison to those in other UK nations. Instead, it would maximise fairness for students. There has been a surge in UK unemployment. The virus pandemic has continued to impact UK businesses, resulting in the unemployment rate rising from 4.5% to 4.8% in the last 3 months. The Office for National Statistics has said that redundancies have hit a record high of 314,000 workers due to the anticipation of the end of the furlough scheme, which was originally October. The current unemployment rate is far higher in young people than any other age group. Furlough has now been extended until the 31st of March, but this seems to have come too late for many employees who have already lost their jobs. Many big companies such as Laura Ashley, Bright House and Ashbury Furniture has gone into administration, putting thousands of jobs at risk. They are doing what they can to reopen after lockdown, although there is currently no more information regarding their reopening. Students in England could go home safely for Christmas as rapid COVID tests for them are set to begin on the 30th of November. According to a letter from Universities Minister Michelle Donnellan, the mass testing will be implemented between the 30th of November and the 6th of December, with the results being released within an hour. The university's minister has indicated that face-to-face teachings will finish earlier than usual so that students are able to return home for Christmas at the beginning of December. However, for those who test positive will have to stay in isolation.
My opinion on the mass testing for students, for them to go home for Christmas, it makes a lot of sense. I personally think it makes a lot of sense. I can't stand the idea of not going home for Christmas myself. I would take part in the test. I did the test when our halls had to do it. I don't mind doing it myself. That's my opinion. I don't mind doing it. I think it's a lot of good. It's good to at least say that you're clear, you're negative, you're not going to pass it on to anyone else. And especially if you're going home and you live with vulnerable people or you live with elderly relatives, you don't want to be passing it on to anyone.
However, there are students who are not in favor of COVID tests. They feel like they are being treated like prison.
The coronavirus pandemic has changed the way women work from home and care for their children. Westminster News has spoken to a range of individuals and discovered different opinions when it comes to which style of working is best.
Linda, a two-kids mom, says working from home is much easier for her to balance her work with taking care of her children.
Yes, I would like to be around my kids and work from home, yeah, why not? It is very difficult to, be everywhere. Of course, the working from home, if that allows you to do all that, of course, I would say yes.
But Emily thinks she would rather go to the work in the company physically.
It's too hard. You need some peace and quiet and some alone time. I prefer to go to work than stay at home.
But when you go to work, who takes care of
her? Dad looks after her. So it's like, here you go. You can have.
In UK, Emily is an exception. It is still mothers who carry most of the burden of childcare and domestic work in most families. A government report last year found that almost a third of women in the UK with a child had needed to cut their working hours because of the childcare issues. For men, it was just 1 in 10. Lily is a single mother and quits her job because of the baby, and now she's eager to finding a remotely job.
I'm a single mom and the baby takes my all day. Recently, I've been looking for translating online. Yeah, it's a good business right now, and it's also very convenient for housewives and who has babies. They can work at home. I find it a bit harder because the job opportunities has become less than before.
One of the few positives of pandemic is that employers have been forced to embrace flexible working. People with childcare responsibilities no longer feel it is a case of either or, because employers initially have had concern about productivity during lockdown instead of if they have children. And meanwhile, employers had offered employees with children the opportunity to work from home and flex their hours, which gives women more chance to show their abilities in work.
Controversial Brexit legislation named the Internal Market Bill has been rejected in the House of Lords. The bill contains measures that overrule parts of the UK's Brexit agreement with the EU. Peers voted on overwhelmingly to remove a section that would allow ministers to break international law. It comes as trade talks continue between EU and UK officials in London as they try to reach an agreement over a future economic partnership. The company behind foods such as gravy brand Bisto and Mr. Kipling's Cake has seen a 50% rise in profits over the last 6 months. Premier Foods credited its growth to lockdown, saying that people have turned to comfort meals during the pandemic. The company has also seen a growth in sales of their cooking ingredients due to restrictions on eating out. US President-elect Joe Biden has outlined his plans for solving the climate crisis. Leaders from across the world have used their first messages to him to draw attention towards the issue.
The United States will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord.
In the battle to save our planet by getting climate under control.
US experienced series of environmental problems. Joe Biden has said he would recommit to the Paris Climate Agreement on day first of his administration, and he promised to spend $2 trillion over 4 years to draw down planet-warming fossil fuels emission and convert much of the attention to clean energy. In a statement, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said he looks forward to working closely together with Biden on climate change. Cheyenne Miller, a US journalist who concerns about climate change, told us that Joe Biden's climate promise has a great impact on the election and future of the US.
I voted for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Regarding climate change, pursue further through the investment in green jobs and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And the big one, of course, that everybody will be talking about is Biden says he plans to rejoin the Paris Climate Agreement. That, our removal from that was sort of a highly controversial move from the Trump administration, and that seems to be something that Biden plans to reverse as soon as he gets into office. So the re-entering of the Paris Climate Accord will probably be the big accomplishment for him.
There's no doubt that Biden's climate plans will have a great impact on the world. The Vietnamese Grand Prix has been dropped from the 2021 Formula One calendar, raising doubts that the race will ever take place. A street race in the capital, Hanoi, was due to make its debut in April this year, before it was called off as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. The removal of Vietnam has been triggered by the arrest of a key official responsible for the race. No charges of corruption. Hanoi's People's Committee Chairman Nguyen Duc Trung was arrested in August for alleged appropriation of documents containing state secrets. The date of the Vietnam race, the 25th of April, has been left blank on the 22 race schedule for 2021 today. Ken Spears, the TV writer and producer who created Scooby-Doo, has died at the age of 82. Spears' death comes 3 months after that of his co-creator, Joe Ruby. After his death was announced, the official Scooby-Doo Instagram account paid tribute with an image of the Scooby-Doo gang. Warner Brothers president Sam Register also expressed his condolences and said, Warner Brothers Animation is honored to carry on the legacy of his beloved characters. Johnny Depp will receive his full $10 million salary from Warner Brothers for his appearance in Fantastic Beasts 3, despite only filming one scene. Depp was dropped by Warner Brothers after the court dismissed his libel lawsuit against the newspaper, The Sun, which claimed he had abused his wife, Amber Heard. The Pirates of the Caribbean star signed a pay-to-play contract, meaning that he would get his full salary regardless if its movie was scratched or if his role went to another actor. The effects of the pandemic has been more severe on BAME musicians, an independent Westminster News investigation has revealed.
Stats have revealed that BAME musicians aged between 16 and 24, those at entry-level positions, and those at senior or executive level posts have increased substantially between 2018 and 2020. However, the report does not take into account the impact of COVID-19 on musicians. We investigate how BAME musicians in particular have been impacted by the pandemic and whether diversity within the industry still prevails.
But I haven't really seen any opportunities. I've kind of had to make my own, like starting a radio show and that kind of stuff. But in the early days of lockdown, people were just crazy with the live streams, and there were loads of sort of these online festival lineups and stuff. And there were many bands that had kind of lost out on opportunities early in the year who were given the opportunity to do these live streams. And even some of the festivals that I was due to play have done online stuff, which I've not I've not been asked or anything. I think that's probably the most tangible I can see in terms of in terms of people that have been given those opportunities and who haven't. And I haven't really seen that many people of color on any lineups, to be honest, on online stuff.
A lot of my peers were approached for things like live streams and stuff like that on various venues, Instagram pages and stuff before I was. The sort of space that I inhabit is a lot of indie and alternative music, and I think there is obviously a large problem with how whitewashed those scenes are in general, and I think the few opportunities that there were, I found myself and then other people of colour within that scene definitely were second best.
Two swans have fallen in love during the pandemic. The tale of Mrs. Newby and Wallace is one of the most heartwarming love stories to come out of the pandemic. Their fledgling romance has inspired an illustrator and swan rescue volunteer to turn the story into a book. The female mute swan, named Mrs. Newby, who lives in London's Highgate Ponds, rejected all potential mates when her first love died after flying into a building. She was taken to a sanctuary and put in the same pen as a male called Wallace, and the rest was history.
She goes in a pen, she meets eyes with Wallace, and clearly something about him just charms her. And this all happened on the day before the UK went into the national lockdown.
That's all